All heads bowed, all eyes closed. Most blessed and heavenly Father, we just thank you for yet another day of life. We thank you, God, for all those persons that are joining this session, God. Lord, we thank you for the presenter that is coming to give his testimony on how great you are to him through his season that he went through. Father, we thank you for the information that will be given, Father, and we pray that whatever information is to come, oh God, that we will be blessed and we'll be able to apply it to our daily lives. All these things I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, and thank you, John. So good evening,
Welcome.
everyone, and welcome to the third series of our Bible Chat program for October. This is our Purpose edition, hosted by the St. Thomas Parish Youth Ministry. I am Shanae McIntyre, your host this evening, and for those of you joining us for the first time, this program is where we explore topics that affect people in general, with special emphasis on young people, such as peer pressure, social media, pornography, depression, suicide, self-leadership, dating, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, as well as defining your purpose. And today we are going to look at the purpose in your pain. So I don't know if there's anyone in this chat right now who is not experiencing some sort of pain, trauma, or even anxiety. But if you are not, that is great. But most of us young people, we encounter a lot of challenges from time to time, but how we deal with it is what sets us apart from one another. Our guest today, Mr. Ahmad Abdullah Muhammad, he really wanted to tell his personal life story because it haunted him for a long time. And the way he chose to express his story to the world was in the form of poetry, a spoken word. So he said a lot of tears went into this piece, also a lot of pain was released. He entered the First Citizens National Poetry Slam this year and he placed third overall. Listen to his story.
Umi, which roughly translates to mother in Arabic, was the strongest woman I knew. She was my first God, my first I love you, my first best friend, my first teacher, my first counselor, my first... By now you get the picture. She was number one for most things in my life. Even the person to hate. I was 2. Young to remember when my father left. Right when he did, she already had 4 kids, pregnant with 1 more, all boys. And in a world where we need men to help raise the gifts given, when we wanted to be wrapped in love, she was the only parent present. I was 6, seconds into my favorite cartoon when I heard her knocking. Saw love rushing to repossess everything she said she'd share when she signed those papers of commitment. Till death, do you? Injustice. They took her house, her land, her car, her savings, some of her pride, but none of her resilience. I was 7 hours into our new home when I saw how love makes you fight hard. The fate of old scriptures when we have these New Testament. She converted to Islam to be with him, but with him gone, she cursed Allah's name. For crying out loud, you could hear how she screamed and ate her pain. I was 10. Days away from celebrating my big brother's birthday when I saw how love brings you to your knees and leaves you stuck in a prayer position. She prayed at his side until he died in June 1996. Kidney failure. I was 10. Days away from celebrating my birthday when I saw how love shows you to live your life as a prayer on the lips of God. November 1996, my little brother died. Kidney failure. I was 11. Weeks into learning to live with less because 2 brothers moved out, 2 brothers moved on, and I know it gonna sound crazy, but in the midst of this, if you were to ask Umi, you okay? she go smile and say, I bless. I was 12, going on 13, when I understood the word suicide for the first time. Bored in my room, feeling like I at the end of my rope, staring at the ceiling. In an attempt to take life in my own hands, I only get one step farther away from healing. I was 14, waiting to exhale when I saw how love literally takes your breath away. When he tried to discipline his insecurities, I was 14 minutes too late when I saw how love hammered its belief into your head until you got the point and he nailed it. I was 14 when I stopped by Bull. She flooding the room with tears and he moving like two animals with an iron. On skin, it is look like silk, only slower in the process when it burns, and he cry in love, you know. My stepfather cry in love, but he didn't know a thing about pairing up. I was 14 when I chop up a man for my mother, and she was no. Don't do him that. I was 15 when I found out how infectious love could be. And sometimes you had to live with it forever and more. You ever see a rose wilt? I saw. I was 16 when she said she'd rather die than live with that thing and me. I was 16 when she died from complications of a broken heart, but on paper I go say HIV. I was 16 when she said all I ever do was love that man, you know. Your father. And you look just like him. It take me 17 years. Because now I'm 33 and today years old. Telling my story in my first therapy session.
So what a powerful story. So Ahmad, we would like to congratulate you on placing third in the First Citizens National Poetry Slam. We would also like to thank you for accepting our invitation to facilitate this evening session. So I now hand it over to you.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Terrell. Terrell say he deserves first place, yes? Terrell, I agree with you, though. If he's Terrell is a boy, right? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shanae, for having me.
Yes, no problem.
Thanks for the invite. Partly appreciate it. And I definitely wanted to be very Jahim. Yeah, I agree with Jahim too. I wanted to be very open in terms of your there. So at the beginning, you all heard this story. I just give me 1 second. One second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I really wanted to be interactive in terms of everybody asking questions, anything that we want to know. So I want to start at the beginning. Like the video said, I'm 33 years old. I'm going to be 34 this year. Yeah, so, I feel good to be alive, primarily because where I'm from, you're not statistically supposed to live beyond a certain age, I guess, in a particular lifestyle I was living. So after my mom, this was a true story, by the way. This was a snapshot of my life in review. And outside of that, I grew up in Mova Lavantil. And after my mom passed away, I got involved in slight nefarious activities. Kind of like Viola was stated in her video, she did things that she felt like she needed to do in order to eat. So that was thanks Jahim. Omega, appreciate that message. So I was involved in, I guess, in the underworld of criminal activity for a very short stint. Um, and I saw some things that I knew I didn't want my life to be fashioned or patterned after that, um, whereas it easily could have been. And so it wasn't easy, but I decided in a moment to not follow through with that particular lifestyle. And not knowing what much else I could be doing, I kind of had to figure it out. So it was a lot of trial and error. Um, in no way was that story supposed to be, a sympathy or or a cry for sympathy or for people to pity me or anything like that. Uh, Instead, I really wanted it to be viewed as a victory story. Um, Personally, for me, coming from where I came from, and I guess in the trials I've been through, it was really great and it is really great now to be able to look back and see the difference I've made in my life, um, and see the the fruits of right choices um coming to ripen. So I don't it definitely wasn't a pity party story. Is one of victory, is one of overcoming, is one of understanding where you are in one of understanding where you are. I think knowing your geographical location in life is one of the most important things you could do as a person. Like knowing your place, knowing who you are, where you are, the things that affect you, your triggers, and so on. I think that is one of the most beautiful and healing things that can take place within a human being. So, before I go on to ramble, any questions? Like how it is? Seeing. So let me see what the chat's saying. You gotta have a lot of courage to tell your story to everyone for real. Wow, R.I.P. Umi. Yeah. Um, I feel courageous sometimes. Uh, I definitely feel courageous in times where, you know, not particularly this piece or performing it, because I could have done it in a closed room, for just like five people, and I felt like I would have still need the same courage to be able to execute it. So, and it would have moments that I don't feel courageous, but this one for sure was definitely one of those triumphant, courageous moments. Not for the telling of the story to the public, but for me, for actually telling the story to myself. Because for a long time, so my mom died in 2003, and I, 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 I don't remember crying for 10 years. Specifically because before she died, now it's strange. I went to church the Sunday my mom died was May the 4th. Sunday, I went to church with my neighbor. She invited me to church, and my mom was sick because she died from HIV and AIDS and that stuff. And so I went to church, and in church, I remember asking God, "Is like, yo, God, yeah, was this scene? I really would really, really appreciate it if you could, if you can make the pain that my mom feeling go away. You know, you Alpha Omega, you do your thing, use big God, you work it out the best way you see fit." Now, I think now would be a good time to interject that you have to be careful what you ask for, or be very specific with your ask. So when I was 16, at the time I asked for that woeful Sunday, May 4th, I had absolutely zero idea that, to me, God interpreted it as like a final, like a death note, a death note. I didn't think like God would have said, well, all right, I can't stop this particular pain, but I can make all the pain go away. And so I felt cheated. So that Sunday when I came back from church, and I was home cooking, and my mom was lying down on the ground, because we put the mattress outside because she used to like to watch TV and stuff, and we was watching basketball, and I was making Sunday lunch, and I just finished cooking, and I went to lie down with her. And then I realized she wasn't breathing. So I was actually home with her when my mom passed away. She wasn't breathing. And then I didn't know what to do because I was living home with her by myself and everything. And it's like, this this really wasn't what I was asking for, baby Jesus. This is not it here. uh, um, and I felt very, very angry. Yeah, ouch, Terrell. There was a serious ouch, and from side outside of the ouch, it was definitely more anger than ouch. Because like I said, it wasn't the answer I was hoping to get. With her pain going away, I was hoping with her have like a reverse in the symptoms. She was feeling like total remission of the disease, or a scale back to some semblance of a normal life. But that didn't happen, and so she died. And then I got really, really angry. And from one thing to the next, like I said, after moms had passed away, to make certain things happen, I went down a different kind of road. But I'm very, very glad that I say all this in terms of tying it back into courage. I'm very, very glad that you know I've I've had the courage to tell myself this story and to get it out, because it wasn't easy. Um, Having to deal with issues of abandonment, um, uh, growing up somewhat on your own. Like I have two older brothers who they were already living on their own, having their own families and things. So, kind of looking after me wasn't a main priority for them, because they have their immediate family and things. And I didn't take it personal. I didn't never take it personal because of that. Um, but so it was courageous for me to be able to tell that story in the spoken word. You say you chop a man for your mom. Yeah, I'll come back to that one day, Jahim. So it was courageous for me in terms of facing those demons. When I say demons, like what I was talking about, in terms of abandonment, in terms of um, trying to escape where I grew up, in terms of trying to some sort of poverty, um, a betterment. The courage was for me to be able to write those things and to get them out, because it definitely did become a hindrance in my life. And I'll stick a pin in that there, just to respond to the question. When I was 14, I did chop a man for my mom. um Indirectly, it was for her. So when my mom was in the relationship with my stepfather at the time, who she got HIV from, he was very abusive. So I grew up around, uh, you know, physical abuse and verbal abuse, because he used to cuss her. And so the very, very first time we had an incident where he put his hands on her, like my mom had 5 boys. So all the boys was at his door, trying to figure out, well, you can't be serious about life, big man. You're seeing five young men, really. Yeah, we would have damaged him. We went and he get damaged, but the damage didn't stop her from going back to him. So it came to a point where no matter how much, you beat him or you do any kind of physical thing to him, it's really up to her to make the decision to not go back, or to put herself and us in those type of, strenuous situations. So the situation that happened is, we used to live by him in Beverly Hills. This was when I was in Form 3. Yes, I used to stay in Beverly Hills for a while. And a night, and she so in I guess in as a side effect of getting abused, she developed alcoholism. So she became an alcoholic, and he used to drink a lot too. And I guess that used to lend to him beating her, and her being obscene, and him, and just a very toxic back and forth between them both. Yeah. And so at night I was there, and they were having a fight upstairs, and he came downstairs and he was drunk and thing. And like, I have never seen it. So this night was the first time I saw him hit her. So I've never seen it. And I think in seeing it is what kind of get the blood to rush to my head. And so when he struck her or striked her, I rushed him one time and was like, "What is that?" And he kind of pushed me back. And where he pushed me back, I stopped. It was by the kitchen, and he pushed me back, and it had a cutlass by the door. I take it one time and was like, so I didn't need. I can laugh about it now, but it really wasn't funny at the time. It's still not that funny, but I try to find humor in a way to deal with conversations I have a hard time talking about. So now I think it easy. I don't know if how many people ever saw the Avengers Endgame, where Thanos should I say you should have aimed for the head. Like I had know that from long time, right? I didn't need Thanos to tell me that. So when I get the cutlass, I was aiming for the head one time, and he put up his hand, and he ended up blocking the first one, and the next one in quick succession he blocked that too. And then by the time I was looking to pell the third one, the neighbor come through and pull me back from the back door. And think Miss Velta, she used to sell breastbone next door. So so she come through and pull me from the door and was like, yo. So he went to the hospital and get stitches and thing. um and so I had to deal with all that too. And something I came to realize. So at the end of the my piece, my spoken word piece, so I said it was 17 years that it took for me to talk about it, and this is my first therapy session. So I started therapy this year in June, to deal with trauma, and in conversation with the therapist, I only came to find out that I too was affected by the things because I was my mother's last child. My two brothers had died, and I too was the last one that was affected because I was with her all the time. I was with her when she was getting licks. I was with her when she was going through her medical conditions. I was with her when she was going through all the verbal abuse and trying to bounce back from that. When courts came in and repossessed everything that she had signed from the first marriage she had with my father. So I was with her with all of that. But up until the therapy session, I honestly didn't think that I was affected by it because all those things was happening to her. Like he was beating her, he was cussing her, they took back all her stuff. But it came to find out that I was abused too, or I was exposed directly to the abuse and to the toxic environment, and so a large amount of that seeped into my being and had a huge impact on my life in terms of anger management and lashing out, in terms of not being able to articulate myself well when it comes to conversations. So I had a lot of things that I had to. Eric Thompson said same here. Yeah, so I had a lot of those things that I had to deal with, and I only came to terms with, or it only came to understanding those terms when I started doing therapy. So I can't remember where I reached. I know I had to stick a pin. Who could remember the point I had to stick the pin in before I'd interject to answer the question? Somebody sent it in the chat. Let me see. Let me get some reactions and thing in the chat if we're there now. Who not there? Whoa, yeah, Jahim. He would have got sent to hospital with a damage him too. Yeah, all right. So that was the point of me saying Malia. That was how I ended up chopping the man for my mom. Um, Immediately after that, after the whole spiel with my mom and everything, after she passed on, um, I was living on my own for a while, and then for a very very short stint, I used to. I was a prettier larcenist or a petty thief. So I used to rob people like the razor phone and thing down movie tongue, go and take people phones and sell it and sell it back. Um, and a couple other things after that well escalated. Nothing too nothing damaging to human life, you know. Um, at least from the extent of my involvement. Um, definitely would have had a part to play, I guess, in the ecosystem of criminal activity. But from my involvement in it, it was not me anything detrimental to human life. And it was really just a means that I felt at the time was for survival. You know, in retrospect, I realized that a lot of things, a lot of, like, it's be hard to connect the dots while you're facing it, and so you could only really do it when you're looking back and try to place things. So certain things I think has to happen in order for you to be exactly where you are at in the moment. I see some chat, something coming in. Alone. I can't remember the point you put up in it. The study damage went to your head and it played with your emotions. Real facts. Yeah, yeah. Emotions do cloud your judgment. That's a very serious thing. So, and that's up to today. So I I I made a decision to go therapy because it was affecting my relationship. It started to affect the way I met this. So aside from one of the negative effects I had on or I had from those childhood experiences was not trusting anybody when it comes to romantic love. So I was never into monogamy. Um, I was one of the biggest infidels you could know, and for good reason. Like, why would for the most part, I want to think that my mom was faithful to my stepfather. So I never saw her with anyone else. Even when he died and she knew that she had HIV and everything, she still, and I bless her for that. She's like, you know what, I good. I don't want to be with anybody else to put them through what I going through. But just looking at that particular scenario affected me in that I never wanted to have just one person, which now, as I saying it out loud, should have had the opposite effect. Whereas, I could see how it would damage you if you're being promiscuous. But I used to buy a lot of condoms, and I was just not interested in being with one particular woman. And so that was one of the negative effects. And fast forward to my current relationship, going on to almost 3 years now, it was a strain because it was hard to be able to open up casually about uh, things that would upset me or upset her. And so all my emotions would go from 0 to 100 real quick, real quick. Black men don't cheat. Well, no, yeah, Lil Duval, black men don't cheat. So no, but I was a cheater. I ain't gonna even front. I was one of the fastest animals in the jungle. I was a cheater. I was a lion. I was a cheater. I was all them things. So now I made a very, very deliberate decision to not um to not be that type of person anymore. And so I sought help for myself for personal development to be able to now interact because it was very unfair. I felt at a time sitting down after I had an argument for something really, really minute or small or didn't warrant me being like erupting like a volcano over a matter of why it didn't
It's
cover back,
mad.
you know? So most people went through that whole phase. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was living in that phase for at least 5 years. But I definitely wanted a better way to communicate with my girlfriend and to make her feel as important to to me as I was to her. So I took that step for therapy, not just for her, because I told her, and I still tell her to this day, given that I am in love with you right now, you know, we could break up tomorrow, but I would still need to be a better person for me, So I think therapy was there then very important for me. Yeah, about 5 years, boy, So um, let's see. Pause there, just checking the chat. Most people recommending cheese, bouncing back. The point he reached was bouncing back after his mom's, I think. No, I think we passed that part. Why not what did John George? A whole 5 years? Yeah. So what I am in media. So I do music videos. I do TV shows, TV commercials, and that kind of stuff. And I used to work at Synergy TV. And so I ain't even gonna lie, it have a certain clout, it have a certain prowess that used to be granted to a cameraman or somebody in production back in the day when Synergy was out and pumping. When you show you from Synergy, you used to get like red carpet treatment almost anywhere you go because it was the #1 station in the country at the time. And I used to do this show called The Scene with Hands. And I used to bring in plenty birds, gills, try to be politically correct on it, out and bad. So there for like 5 years. And then I was telling myself, I don't need that love thing. That love thing this literally kill you. So, I wasn't I had first-hand experience about how bad love ended. So birds by birds. Sorry, Stacey Ann. Girls, females. I'm just trying to be as relative as I can to the audience. I was just scanning through and seeing pictures of everybody in the chats now. So trying to be as relevant as. So in that time I was working Synergy, it was real easy. It was real easy to to maintain or to be lost. I would say now lost in that particular type of lifestyle. You know? And then from that, I think I got back. So jumping back into the reason I started therapy was from a girl and to be a better person for me. So she was the impetus, but the foundation for it, and I think what would help it to stick and for me to be committed to it is that I want to be a holistically better person overall from all the bad and messed up situations that I have experienced since my existence and since being here. Terrell, we know where we going to work. Now, synergy not as good as it used to be. I don't go there. If you're into production, or you can let me know. I have a company and I'm looking to expand in a little bit. I probably want to be expanded more, but COVID. So we have a lot of birds. What kind you want? Pigeon, Kobo. Nah, I wanna birds that are good. I really good with them birds that together. I stop playing. You. Oh gosh. So I think I ramble on for a while. I want to pause in the conversation and open it up for any kind of questions. So you could feel free to ask any questions or you have right now. Take a 5 minutes or 3 minutes and just take some questions. And I hear you. I think somebody trying to say something.
Yeah, CJ, you hear me now?
Your phone breaking up. Yellow?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, as in terms of the journey,
If was that?
what would you say was in terms
If
of
you
like
if
turning your life around, and doing everything? Would you say that
I hear when you're
you were
saying
really
turn my life
driven?
around, but I'm not hearing the if you want you could type it out. Like just send it in it. CJ, you have water in your phone. Yeah, it's something like if you something like Aquaman there. And water in that line there. I could start a video. No, you could see me. So I actually out on a shoot right now. Somebody drone man cancel on them last minute and they just called me like not too long ago to come and fly some drone for a music video that they're doing for Tafari, I think is the artist name. One of them Trinidad artists. So and this is my company, Adverb Media. So you can check it out. And did therapy work? Did it help with you control your emotions? Yeah, it's an ongoing process. It's a everyday practice after you finish these sessions with the therapist. Um, I would say that it does work for me. And mind you, therapy can be almost anything. I feel like at a point in time, Naruto was therapy as well. Um, Strangely enough, I felt like 'cause he was alone. I felt alone too. I've felt like most of the experiences I had would have make me feel like if I had a demon fox inside of me, or I was like a Jinchuriki for everybody who's into anime and thing. So, Naruto was a form of therapy. Yoga could be a form of therapy. Football is anything that would help you release, I guess, the negative emotions and the bad and toxic feelings that would be a danger to you psychologically and physically, to yourself and to somebody else. So yes, therapy has been working for me so far. Um, Mind you, I docked my therapist 3 times, free. The first 3 sessions we had, I was like, you know what? It's not really for me. Big man, no go therapy. Um, Nobody I know from the hood does go to therapy. I don't know what you're trying to tell me to do. I am okay. Um, and so the last time the therapist tried, she called and she was like, you know what? Um, Other people need this spot, and we definitely in a place where we're trying to help somebody else. So if you think that this is not for you, then just let us know now so we can fill the spot with somebody else and they could organize and do that. Um, and so after she kind of roughed me up a little bit, for the third time I had missed the session, I went the fourth, and I've been going back ever since. Uh, and making it happen. So yeah, therapy is working for me right now. This particular form, in terms of anger management control, we do a lot of exercises where you learn to control your breathing. Reading helps. And this isn't something that I learned in therapy. It's something that I learned just in a casual conversation I was having. And I felt like the metaphor made sense. So when I was younger and I was, I guess, trapping and moving and robbing people and that kind of thing, um, I was angry all the time and I didn't used to read as much. And so what would happen is if somebody come around me with some kind of shippiness, it wouldn't take more than 5 words to go from talk to fist, right? So then when I started reading more, um, I realized it would take longer for me to get angry. And somebody put it in a metaphor the other day, real poetically, and I was like, yo, I run it with that. It's like the more you read is the more words you have in between of yourself and anger. So before somebody come and they mash my shoes or they tell me something stupid, and I'd be like, I vex. And it's from I vex to fist one time. Now that same thing could happen, and it could be like I vex, I perturbed, I upset, uh, you know, all like at least 5 to 6 or 10 different words or ways you could express the feeling that you're feeling now before it turned to something physical. And so I was very, very appreciative of that metaphor, and I started running with that in my life. So I started reading more, and that in itself is a form of therapy. And me writing and doing spoken word and poetry is a form of therapy too. And now dabbling in music. I used to do like parody songs and things. No callaloo, no paya was some curry. That was like therapy and thing too. Yeah, I know, you know that song. Yeah. Curry, curry, duck, curry, goat, curry, beef, curry. Yeah, that was me. That was me out there in them streets. So that's like a form of therapy too. Let me see all these questions that going in here. Sorry if this rushing you, lol, but how did you get into spoken word poetry? Is poetry a therapy? Yes, I would have answered that question. Poetry is definitely therapy for you. And how has that journey been? What would you say therapy should be normalized? Would you say that therapy should be normalized in our society, especially for us men? Yes, because I'll come back to that. Let me make sure I miss all the questions up on top. CG, what's on your phone? Throw away that blue. Yeah, I think it should be normalized because um, I ran from it 3 times, and it's because I didn't feel comfortable, and like because I from Mova and I don't have a lot of examples of people actually going to therapy from Mova. It isn't so the more normal something is the easier it is for people to accept and for something that they want to do. So right now everybody wearing the mask because it well now is a law, but is I guess and after 30 days something has become a habit. So right now You leave your house, you're checking your phone, and then you're face naked. You're going back inside for your mask one time, and that now has become a normal thing. So I feel like if we have more adverts and more people like myself, and I'm a very, very, very strong advocate and ambassador for therapy right now, I would tell anybody to seek therapy that is coined to how they would receive it and be best nurtured from it. So it is something that should be normalized. But in the normalizing of it, I don't think there's only one particular way that it should be normalized. Like for spoken word, and this will tie back into one of the questions. My journey is one that has been therapeutic to say the least, and very releasing. So most of so when I wrote that piece, it was a random 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and I was crying, like crying for hours, for hours. My girlfriend, she woke up and she just see me in tears, and I couldn't understand why I was crying. I was just was too much emotions, and I writing it down. I was angry. I was upset with my mother because I felt like she could have been taking her medication and she didn't have to die, but she really did say I rather dead than to live with HIV, and so I had to come to terms with that feeling, like if she chose death over me, and yeah. So in terms of like normalizing the therapy, I think that should be, yes, a point of practice for us as a society to do, specifically for men, because like I said, it's not really an avenue that a lot of men have to be able to go to a space and speak openly and not feel like if he's a panty man or a mama man or less of a man or less of a boy or less of a male. I think we all need like a comfort space and a comfort zone to be able to really facilitate that. And it's not easy because you're asking us to be vulnerable, and then in the same state of our vulnerability, some things can and will be used against us. And so for fear of that, I think a lot of males don't go back. Like if it like for me in past relationships, like I would have tried to open up. I would have tell a girl something, and the minute she get vexed, she would have used that same thing I tell her, and that would have be it for me. And then I wouldn't tell any nothing again, because that is stupid man thing. Like, what telling you this for if you're going just straight back in my face? When I felt like you could have been using it to be better. So normalize therapy, yes, but normalize different types of therapies. They find out what works for you. Sometimes yoga works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes just anime binging works for me, sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, normalize therapy. And for the point of spoken word, now I like somebody was saying something there. I like a lot of wordplay. So a lot of artists I listen to, like Lupe Fiasco, Eminem, um, Skito locally. He's one of the artists I listen to. Gary Acosta, Tupac. That's my favorite artist. West Side all the time. So I really like the how you could make almost anything. Like it's just 26 letters in the alphabet, and then the possibilities of anything that you could make is exponential, almost endless. So you have a finite amount of letters, and the things that you want to do with it are endless. And if you don't believe me, think about any song or any genre and how many different songs they have, and just know that is only 26 letters make that song. Just you can't compute how many songs that have in the world, genres or whatever, and just 26 letters, right? As far as that in the English language. So as part of my journey for spoken word, I really try to one, listen to people who I enjoy, in terms of the messages that they give out. J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Joey Bad, um, Childish Gambino, like I said, Lupe Fiasco, Sci-Hi the Prince, Skito, Rion Elborn. I do a lot of work with him musically and visually as well. One thing me I pray, get my money and build my dreams. I do that music video. You can go and check it out, Rion Elborn, on YouTube. Leave a like, comment, say, ad will bring all your hair from the meeting and thing. So good. I plug in, I'm an artist. So, and I use a lot of my own experiences. And I don't line with a lot of people who do spoken word in Trinidad. Not that I have anything against them, is that I just find that they all sound the same, and I don't like that. the majority of them, they song the same. So for me, I try to just be by myself, have my thoughts, write it out, and then move on from there. Yeah, let me see what other questions we have here. If a person goes through mental and physical abuse, how can they cope with that? Um, well, for one, I definitely know you actually sing that. Sing, yeah, I actually sing that song. No Callaloo, no pie, was some curry. Call up hot shop on the cellular. Tell them just bring me the regular. One bush up, one wrapped up porry. Give me a side up a lorry. I read solo on the side. Full of that cup, the red eyes. I read solo on the side. Full of that cup, the red eyes. Brown paper bag in it, bruh. I like my curry and bugs. Call up Sonita, say come. Bring the curry and the rum. Eating my curry for lunch. Then go buy Harry's a punch. 25 days in
Mm-hmm.
you can see me by the sons. Curry dripping, Kobe eating chicken, cutting up the pumpkin. What is curry?
Nah. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
I read you that one.
So yeah, I can't even remember all the lyrics, but yes. Going back to this question here, if a person goes through mental and physical abuse, how can they cope with that? One, you definitely can't cope with it alone. I would say reach out, try to talk to somebody. Uh, 3960267. Like if I need anybody to talk to, I really like listening to people's stories. I just do that for a living in terms of video recording people. I do a show called 40 Doers, and it's basically listening to people tell their stories about entrepreneurship and that kind of stuff. But one, I would say reach out to somebody and try as much as you can to talk about it. For me, I find that talking about it really kind of helps put things into perspective. It's always easier to see when it's outside of your body. And so talking about it kind of makes it accessible, it makes it tangible. So your words now become a manifestation in front of you, and you can see what you're saying when you talk about it, Like if somebody talking to you and you just had to close your eyes for you to hear what they're saying, they actually see the words in front of you, and now you could touch it, you could interact with it, you could break it down. So one, I would say see somebody, um, talk about it, and then take whoever I guess you're talking to would recommend somebody who would have the expertise to be able to teach you and to really give you the guidance and the proper treatment that you would need for it. And then you go through, like you commit to it. One, I think you definitely had to commit to being better, understand that it happened, accept the fact that it did happen, and then grow from it is really the only thing I can say how. And that's for me because I'm not an expert in mental health work. I'm just somebody who has been affected by it and trying to find my own way to recovery. So you had to commit to yourself to doing the work. So if you find yourself, like if you have been abused or anything like that, I would say first try to seek help. Go to somebody, a counselor, a therapist, if need be, and talk about it. One, and talk about it. They will recommend some exercises if that's their forte, and commit yourself to going through the process of learning and being better about it. Sorry.
Yeah, bro, thanks. Awesome facts.
Did you get over the feeling knowing your mother is really dead? Because I know for a fact I can't live without that woman. No, and you know what is frustrating about it? Is like I just remember my mother like vividly. I know what she looked like. I can't remember what she just sung like, and I can't remember what her laugh songs like. But everything else, like sometimes I get like a random smell and I just like put my back in like a. But now I'm learning to deal with it better because it's not as impactful as it used to be, because of the therapy. So is but it is not something that you just get over. Um, I was 16 when she died, and I felt like I didn't have enough time. Like I didn't have enough time with her, and I would definitely trade some years of my life if I could get back any kind of time with her at all. Because it definitely has some questions I feel that unanswered. Like no, because I know a lot of things differently than I did back then. It has some questions I want to ask, a lot of things I want to get answered, and I can't I can't I can't have that closure. And the only thing I can do is kind of surmise my own answers and come to my own conclusions about scenarios and things. But nah, you don't ever get over it. You learn to take it one day at a time, and then you accept that one day at a time is how it's gonna be from now on. This fella when he come, Jahim are real waves and create waves like the ocean.
Don't light him, don't light him, don't light him, don't light him, don't light him.
Well, the man brushing
Tell
the
it
hair for
yourself,
the
camera, man.
man brushing the hair
Nah,
for the last
he,
30 minutes. Remember? Yeah, to
he,
Farai, wait, you going and do a music video for Gagarin? Oh,
nah,
for
I
the,
autocorrect me.
yeah, to Farai. I'm not doing the video. My brethren Bilal, the director, doing the video. But he drone man couldn't make it, so I just out here waiting to go and do my drone shots and thing. But I just do music videos and thing. Like I say, I do the Build My Dream for Irfan. I do the Overdue for Irfanals. Oh. Long time this are overdue. I did a couple other music videos for him. I mostly like TV shows and corporate. Well, no set of corporate work now because of COVID, but I do I'm now starting to get back. And I do Masket or Casket, baby Masket. I just do that video the other day from Ginny on Slam 100.5. But yeah. Well, no other questions? Yeah. West Side, yeah. West Side dog. What other questions? What you wanna know? Talk to me. Terrell, what you saying? Primus, Jaim, what going on?
you have an Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram is AHMAD_being.
You gotta type
And
that in the chat. I can't remember the
Yeah,
full name.
yeah, yeah. Free.
You
Go
got
to
it
type that
already,
one. See that?
Yeah.
I don't kinda.
and the company Instagram is at Adverb Media. I'm gonna put the
Just follow that.
Adverb Media. My Instagram is at Ahmad_being.
Stillers.
Yeah. What are questions? Talk to me. What I wanna know.
So if how you see a person how to get counseling and things, so let me see the person went through like sexual abuse. How would they be able to cope with that and deal with that? Like if it's from a young age to when they reach like 18, 19, I still continuing because I have a friend who going through that and um I don't know if I could give advice to her on that because I kind of went through something like that and okay, there you see how a person will cope with them thing if they're going through them thing. How could they cope? What is the right way of coping with that?
You don't have any right way to cope, eh? Let me tell you one time, you don't have no right way to cope, you don't have no right way to mourn a loss. It's all introspective. So I I used to fight. Like my coping was fighting. So
Hmm.
I just used to go out. I was real happy to be in a gang because you go out and you cough out a boy face and thing and you release some stress. That was my coping mechanism. For real, for real, for real. That's how I used to cope. Um, and just being angry all the time was a way I used to cope. I used to also tell myself I will not feel, I will not love, I will not hate, I will just be. And that was a way for me to cope. So coping looks different for everybody. The same way happiness looks different for everybody, sadness looks different for everybody. To the point with your friend, you're right. To an extent, I don't think that you would be well equipped enough to counsel her, to give her advice, sound advice that she would need to be able to build herself from that particular situation, especially if it's one that was long standing, you see, from a young age and it's still continuing and going on now. So just know that you won't be able to help her as much as you would like to, but don't stop. Uh, and I know it could be hard. It's a painstaking thing because like the point I was making about my mom's, we could have do whatever it is we had to do to my stepfather at the time, but if she making the decision to be in this situation, then and not the situation of being abused there, but in the situation of not wanting to because a lot of people can't help it. COVID, a lot of the abuse rate went up with COVID and people not being able to move and leave the houses and everything. So they are in no way responsible for what happens to them. But what they do about it in terms of deciding whether or not they want to seek help and things, that has to be a personal choice. So the best I could say for you is try to coax her, try to guide her as much into going to get help, into wanting to talk about the things that bother her, and that's like a serious thing. And sexual abuse is a very, very funny thing, because people automatically just kind of judge you a type of way off the bat, and I think it's just human nature. But for me, I would say try to talk to her as much as possible and see how much you could get her to get professional help, and you yourself as well talk about it, seek professional help, and then grow from that. But besides that, I would say praying is a big part of it. Praying is a huge, and this is across the board, any denomination. Once you believe in a being higher than yourself, then just offer up them prayers one time, as much as you can, and then do the work. If you know you want to be better, then do the work to be better. It have help out there. You have to want to accept the help, and you have to want to see the help first, and that's the only way that you could one of the ways to get started in the healing process is knowing that it affected you and getting help. So I would tell you to let your friend know, and yourself as well, point yourself in the direction of a professional help. Social media on your fingertips, everything you need is at your fingertips. Go look online. So Shanae can get into some people if you need anything else, or you could jump in the DMs or my WhatsApp, and I could try to pour you onto some people as well. But the first step I would say is to go talk to somebody and get it out of your system. Cry it out, talk it out, cry it out, because it is a plenty cry. I had to unbox 10 years of tears. You know how long 10 years of tears is? Eh?
That's something really serious, though.
No,
10
it is a
years.
serious,
That is a
because like,
long
yeah,
period of time.
because my mom died in 2003, and she's like, I don't know why you're crying for me. And then, like, your mom died. Like, I don't know what other situation in my life could have happened that was bigger than my mother dying. Like, it didn't have any bad situation that happened to me at that time, in that 10 years, that was worse, that was enough for me to cry than my mother dying. So she asking me not to cry just makes sense. Like, I don't have to cry for anything else. I didn't have anything to cry for, but that was very unhealthy for me, because I needed to get the tears out. And so 10 years of tears is a lot. Is leave you dehydrated, like white mouth and all that kind of thing. So yeah, best you get out of your system now. Trust me, you'll be better for it. Your future self will thank you later for it.
Yeah, thanks to that.
Smoke it out. Yeah, smoke it out too. I mean, once you're at the legal age, and it's legal to grow in your premises and thing now by law. So, Jaime, you looking like you could smoke or nothing, I just say. But I mean, there's a there's an option as well. But I wouldn't say to substance. Like, substances don't really work in the long haul. Something like yoga, something like running, something like MMA. Like I say, I used to like to fight. So outside of fighting, from just being on the block and thing, I started to do MMA and that kind of thing, and just trying to get some of that energy and that kind of thing out. So there's an option as well, and just do the work. Think that's it day. Shani, anything else? Or anybody, anything else? Okay. Let me see. I say I make sense. Kila, Qualia, Tianak. Narkis, Narcissus, Amiri, Rose, Janice, Vanessa ain't say nothing. I ain't hear from Claire, Gail Dicoto, Chantel, Janice, who else? Tia, James, Amiri, Simone, Jacqueline, Maria, you alright? Who else? Revelyn, Kate, CJ, Alba, Christiana, Cheryl's. Yeah, okay. I think I went trying to touch through everybody there.
All right, since you have heard from all the young people, you'll hear from an older person now.
This is Cheryl.
Yes,
Hi, Miss Cheryl. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to congratulate you. And I agree with the young people that you should have won that competition. I happened upon, I'm serious, I happened upon the competition that night, and I looked at all of the performances, and yours jumped out at me, grabbed me. You had me sitting on the edge of my seat. And when the results came out, I was really, disappointed for you, because I really felt, as you said, that all the others sounded similar or the same. And that your performance was really different, your presentation, your passion, everything. So congratulations, and you are the winner as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. I take it that to know. I see People's Champion. This is my second year in the finals. This is the first time I ever placed in the top 3. There's no second time in the finals. And so the first time I did it, I was with a spoken word called I Am that I turned into a calypso for the Calypso Monarch finals the next year with Ufon.
Okay.
And so people felt like that one should have won too. And this one, I agree. Like, I felt like, it was different, and nobody else's story was like that.
Yeah.
But I think the competition itself has a very specific idea of what poetry is
what
to
it's
them.
supposed to sound like and look like. Yes, I understand.
So they won that cookie cutter.
As I said, I agree that you should have been the winner. One of the things another thing why it struck me and touched me is because, well, I can't remember if you mentioned in the actual spoken word where you were from, but
I didn't say which one I was from.
23 years of my life in Laventille, right? I grew up in Laventille, yes, Dorata Street. You must know Dorata. You're from over, you must know Dorata Street.
So, and what part of Dorata is all by the police station?
Between Fernandez and Angus Street, Dorata Street. Right. They have some plan. You know, so I have some plan at the top of the street.
Yeah.
Right. Good. So I spent 23 years of my life in Laventille. So I understand a lot of what you spoke about. I didn't experience it because, I grew up with a school teacher mother and a prison officer father. So that I was considered rich. Them little children wrong used to call me rich. You rich girl, or you're rich. Because, of the poverty and the situation of the people around and that kind of thing. But, the things that you went through, I know of a lot of people who experienced it. And I think that is one of the things that caused me to choose to become a teacher and to stay in education, and to give back to my communities, because I worked only in inner city schools, in Port of Spain, in Belmont. I spent 18 years in Belmont Junior Sec, and then I became the principal of the former Curab Junior Sec, which is now St. Joseph Secondary. So a lot of my students, the students I interacted with, would have gone through things like you. I would have had to deal with children who lost their parents to HIV/AIDS, and children who were involved in crime and all those sorts of things, So a lot of what you said resonated with me. And I thank God for you today, because I realized that you have found your way. You are on a road to what I would consider successful living. I'm thankful that you in therapy. Well, I was going to ask you about your spiritual life, but you mentioned it just now when you said that, you know, as long as you accept that there's a higher being than yourself and that kind of thing. So I know that you're on the right track. And I wish you all God's blessings and success, continued success, because you're already on the road, the success road. When I heard you calling some of the things and some of the people that you work with and so on, I realized that, you know, you're in the right place, and you've found a purpose for your life, and you know, you're on a good journey. So I want to congratulate you, and I'm thankful that you came and shared with our young people, you know, your story, because they need to hear different types of experiences that people go through. And don't worry about James. James is my little cousin, and he just have plenty mouth. That's my little youth. Don't worry with him. He just have plenty mouth.
I know how it is.
Right, but you know, as I said, you know, I wish you continued blessings, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you, Miss Cheryl. Yeah, you're lucky, way. Oh gosh.
So the floor open right now if anyone wants to add anything else.
I just want to add.
Video drop.
Yeah, I just want to add. Well, I working on my EP right now. Is a mix between spoken word and calypso. So it's 7 tracks, and it's coming out November, and it will be accompanied by 7 videos as well. Cause duh, I mean, I just do videos, so you know, and everything gonna be litty. So, so yeah, just, you know, look out for that.
Okay.
I appreciate the time. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I just wanna add Ahmad as a youth growing up in this world, and you know, we all, as you say, we all go through different stuff, and it's how we cope with it and the outcome. So I just want to say I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to come on the Zoom session and hear your story, to get a different side of how you might have coped with stuff, to get info on how to cope in my things. So I'm very grateful for the info thus far that you gave. And I as well pray that God continues blessing you and helping you to reach further in your ministry and in your endeavors.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man, John. I appreciate it. I hope everything work out for you too. And well,
And
like I say, like I say, it's not no overnight, not no fly by night success, and it is really be hard. It's hard days. You just want to say, forget all this, and just, you know, fall back into the habit of whatever the habit of your comfort zone is. But it really worth it to put in the work for yourself. Like, it is look back and it is feel better. Like, for me, is really be a real good feeling to know for sure I could have been in jail or dead. I was in jail a couple times, but there's a story for next day. But so I could have been dead. I could have been in jail longer. I could have been dead for sure. And you know, like artists, when the world was open up, artists paying for me to travel the world to do the music videos, and companies calling me to do the TV shows and thing. And it you know, it all came from, you know, a few moments of, I know where I could have been, you know, and I definitely know where I could have been. So I'm definitely grateful for if, you know, my life as it is now, in a way positioned that it resonates as success, and that other people can be inspired by it, because I definitely know where I come from, and it wasn't easy. Um, but I appreciate that too. I appreciate, like, right now, I'm very grateful for everything that I went through, everything that I did, every experience I had. You know, like right now, as you're the sum of all the experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. And so this year is not just, you know, all the good things. Like my position right now, where I feel like if everything on the up and up, you know, it didn't just happen like that. It come from a lot of hard work, a lot of, you know, putting in the work and sacrificing. And the sacrifice doesn't have to be material thing, is this the sacrifices is be, you know, the old habits that you have that you just feel like you can't let go of. And them is the things you just had to get rid of to be a better person or to be a better version of yourself. And it's possible. It's not impossible. It's just, you know, something you have to tolerate once you want to put in the work and make it happen. How jail was. It wasn't good. Let me tell you, jail is not a nice place. I didn't make it to the big yards. I always used to make it to like station jails and thing. And imagine, so the last time I was in jail was almost like 3 years ago. I get held for possession. I thank God that everything decriminalized and thing now, right? It was a small thing. It was unnecessary. They didn't need to put me in jail for that kind of thing. But you know, and you in there, it was like for 4 days because it happened on a long weekend, and then the other day it was carrying the people who did the Dana Sita Hall alleged murderers was going to court. The day I was supposed to go to court, so they had to push it back. So I was in jail for like 4 days and thing. And then the cell I was in, it get full to like 12 people. So the Friday when I get touch up, I was in there with 2 other people, and then the Friday night it was 5 other people. By Saturday it was 7 other people. Sunday it was full up to 12, and everybody come as they were held. So people sweaty from work, people toe jam kicking and thing, and let me just say, it's not a nice place. It's not a nice place. It's not a place I'm looking to go back, and I'm going back to jail for nobody. Not even to visit. Not even to visit a friend. They ain't getting me back inside of it. Because that's not for me. So, you know, it's not nice. It's not nice. And that was I think that was like the best experience of the 3 times I was, you know, incarcerated. That was the good one. So nah, I good on that. It's best to just stay away. Like my motto on life right now is OTN. Only the necessary. That's all I just try to do in life. Only the necessary. And it is only necessary pertaining to what you want to do. So I want to have a successful production company. So I just only do the necessary things to make sure that my company is successful. I make a piece of money, I buy some equipment, I reinvest, I make some things happen, I get some nice cameras, I get a nice van, I get some cameramen, I get some editors, you know? So, and all those things was only the necessary things that would have fueled that particular direction that I was on. So my life is only about OTN, only the necessary. And I think like if it's one thing should say to leave with people, do that. Only do the necessary. Once you know your path and you wanna follow through with that, just do the necessary things for that and do that alone. Everything else is a distraction. Some comedy stuff. Well, yeah. Let me know if you have content and thing. I'm looking for things to pop on my YouTube channel so I can shoot it for you and edit it and put it out and thing. G'day.
So we can end in prayer. God, please continue to watch over all of us as we are about to end our meeting. Please help us to put you first in everything that we do, and help us to know that there is purpose in our pain and that you are molding us for something greater. So help us to trust the process. As you said in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He would never leave you nor forsake you. Amen. So thank you
Amen.
so much, Ahmad, for sharing your story with us and for being so open. I mean, we do wish you the best in everything that you do. And I mean, if anyone else wants to add anything, you can do so before he leaves, because we know you have to go back on your job. But before everyone goes, I want to thank everyone for coming on as well and for steering on, as Ms. Cheryl likes you. So remember, Purpose Sundays continues, and next week will be our last Purpose session for October. our guest, he's the youngest. He's 19 years of age. His name is Jaden Let, and he is the artist who sung Not Fully Dance. So that's next Sunday, the 25th.
Not fully dance.
Yes, at 5 p.m.
It
on the
is
same
moved.
platform, using the same information that you logged on the session. We'll be continuing using that login information. So again, thank you all so much for coming on. Invite your friends, and the information is already being prepared for you. It's just to come on and really grasp what is being said. So we really appreciate all these speakers. Ahmad, again, thank you so much for everything, and to have an
No
enjoyable
problem
weekend.
at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
man.
Miss Cheryl.
Yeah, man. It was
Yeah.
a blessing, bro. Thanks for the info again, and God bless you.
Yeah, well, you could reach me in the DMs or just chat on anything, and we
Don't
could
worry, I
be
message
chopping up.
you. I will message you.
That's
I will
the
message
whole
you.
thing.
Waiting for the music video to
I
drop.
put my number in.
But
Which music video? Which
It's a
one?
far eye.
Oh, yeah, the song is Do What You Want Do.
That the music video can
So
do?
that should be dropping.
I
Yes,
doubt.
my dog,
I
mate.
doubt is that. No. No.
Function is function,
Okay.
real small, you know, Johnny. Real small.
man.
Real small,
So yeah,
Johnny,
I
you
like
know.
it to run inside there. Everybody, it was good.
Yeah, boy.
Right?
Keep safe, eh?
Keep it up on a level. Keep safe. Wear your mask.
Yeah,
And
man.
love. God
Yeah,
is love.
yeah,
Amen.
man. You too.
TIL. Trinidad is love.
Yeah, man.
Right? Mova is love. BIL is love.
Hell.
6 is love.
Yes, Gael, man.
Later.
Alright.
Yeah.